Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
Yeah, how are you guys?
We're hotboxing the house today, as you can see.
Yes, that's right. We're throwing up sage. Para sacar las malas vibras, ya sabes.
As you guys know, you guys know we just moved out, right? So we haven't done our ritual sage. We have. It's mandatory. It's sage, and we have to be dressed accordingly.
Of course.
Yes.
And I think we're dressed pretty accordingly. You
Yeah,
guys.
it's a
Happy
thing.
fucking Halloween.
First of all, happy Halloween. That's
well,
important
today's
to
not
say.
Halloween, but happy.
Halloween month.
Happy almost Halloween.
There you go. Happy Halloween anniversary.
Yeah. My name is Cheeto,
My name is Joanna.
And I'm Jessie.
and we are
Los
Brownies. Ay, la pasión.
What the fuck were you doing?
What Gene Simmons does
What does he do?
with his tongue, right? Doesn't he do the tongue thing?
Yeah.
Go
Right?
I think I've only seen the tongue, though. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's what he does, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Girl, don't tell me I'm doing it wrong. I did like a nice 15-minute thorough investigation on who Gene Simmons is. Okay.
Well, for those who don't have the dishonor of watching us right now, it's October, it's Halloween. We love Halloween, and we try to dress up. We dressed up last week, which we got so much love for the Dale ya tu sabe people. I felt people that day. I felt God, Jesus, and people in that room.
A ver, Craig.
And
Craig, come on, dude. Where's the fog? We need some fog right now. Bring in the vibes right now.
Ooh.
My God, Craig.
And
We give you one thing to do, Craig.
Yeah, so if you don't know who we are, then too bad. If you do, then that's great.
All right, Craig. Craig, no, mom. Craig. My bad, you guys. I am so sorry. This is probably the most unprofessional episode that we. Craig.
This bitch, turn it off.
Jesus, fuck. Anyways.
Imagine it's just me with one cigarette. But it's like a long ass cigarette. Be like, oh, sorry, you guys. I'm so stressed out.
Fun fact, you guys. We actually don't have a fog machine. We just bought like 8 packages of cigarettes for Craig.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, we have like 3 in this hand and 3 in this hand. Oh, I can't do it. I can't do it.
No, but anyways, all right, my friends. Today, we're not wasting any time. We're getting right into it because some of these stories are going to be really sad
Yes.
and most of all,
Serious?
And interesting.
yeah, and interesting.
I don't think mine is scary or sad. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Well,
And unsolved.
Yes, that's today's episode. We will be discussing unsolved mysteries. We just, you know what? Like, a mí me aprietan los huevos, dude. Que sea a mystery cannot to be solved. Like, that's so annoying.
you know que me aprieta a mí los huevos, dude?
A ver.
Los calzones que me compran large when you guys know I'm a medium.
Yeah.
Our apologies. It's because I'm sorry, the medium se ven. The medium looks so small, but
And,
it's because you're so, like,
Yeah.
you fool us like that.
Oh, shit. Do you hear the choppers outside and the police?
Oh, shit.
Oh, I
You hear
do,
them?
Yeah.
Damn, already? It's like, dude, it's barely 11 in the morning. The chopper, you guys, don't worry, guys. It's just the police department. They're looking for my waist.
We'll never find it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Actually, before we start, there was we were driving somewhere. I just want to start off with some random shit. Just,
Yeah, okay, yeah.
this is an icebreaker.
To
right
foreplay, you
now.
know?
Yeah. A ver, Craig, por favor, do me a favor. Let's get a little bit of more rumito. But not that much, Craig, por favor.
When we tell you to stop, fucking stop, dude.
Craig, échate un little Jolly Rancher, por favor, Craig.
Yes, can you throw it?
Pásamelo. Para que vean, for everyone who believes. A ver, Craig, yeah, luma. For everyone that thinks. A ver, Craig, otra vez, producción, una musiquita. For everyone that thinks that Craig is not real,
Craig, can you take
Craig is the more. I said it. Okay, I just sound dumb. Craig is real, guys. He's here, and he has. Hey, Craig, I'm walking here. All right, Craig is just gonna treat us with snacks. He's doing his job. I would say Craig does a lot more than we do, with less of the attention.
Yeah.
And we will gladly take that from him humbly.
Yes.
Humbly.
Yes.
He
No, but
doesn't
anyways,
deserve it.
I wanted to say, I forget who I was driving with. I think I was with my mom.
Uh-huh.
And we were driving, and we passed by like a cop, almost like a crime scene. And
Okay.
it was
it was taped up.
yeah, exactly. It was taped up. Y ahorita me acordé because I was talking about the choppers.
Yeah.
And it was funny. I started cracking up, dude. Me and my mom started laughing because we were like, obviously, the chismosos. We were
Sí, sí.
driving.
Manejando hasta despacito.
We were, una pinche colota. We were complaining that everyone, pinches bobos, like, bobos, hurry up. Like, pinches chismosos. Let it be my turn, though. You know? And so we passed by, and there was like a bunch of cops surrounding, como un like an Herbalife place, on the hacen like Zumba and Herbalife y todo eso.
Yeah, the combo, yeah.
And we were like, damn, I wonder what happened. And I was like, you know what, dude? A mí se me hace que alguien sacó los pasitos prohibidos. So there was the Zumba class.
Sacó la tecnocumbia y se
Yeah.
acabó.
Sacaron los pasitos prohibidos. Dijo, wrap it up, ladies, wrap it up.
Kiss is such an iconic band, right?
It is.
Their makeup and everything's so iconic. And they look pretty punk rock, like pretty hardcore.
Yes.
But their music is pretty nice.
It's neutral, right?
It's very new.
I was made for loving you, baby. You were made for loving me.
Like, that's so nice.
¡Vámonos!
Oh, damn.
Damn, dude, Craig
The
parece
harder we
piñata, no
sing-
mames.
The harder we sing, the more candy it throws.
Yeah.
No, Craig parece piñata. No, yeah, like it's so nice, right?
Yeah.
Like
They have
It is.
romantic songs.
it's so like what is it? Tonight I wanna hold you in my arms in the
Okay.
dark.
I don't know. You tell me. You're our lead singer, girl.
My apology.
I'll give you drums.
Hey, there's so much I wanna do.
I'll give you the bass.
And tonight.
Dun, 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 dun. Wait, oh my God.
You're an idiot.
Wrong band. My bad. I'm thinking Vanilla Ice right now.
That's you.
We actually are the only podcast in the whole United States who have the copyrighted rights to use the Kiss face. So if
We're gonna get sued.
no,
actually.
no, I'm kidding. I am so sorry.
I bet, Gene Simmons, can you tell us what today's episode will be about?
Oh yes.
Ooh.
Okay, so we're talking about unsolved mysteries. Remember
Yeah.
that.
We each have a story about it, but I want to ask questions that don't really have answers. And if
Ooh.
they do, tell me.
All
Okay.
right. Can I have a Kit Kat? Am I allowed to eat a Kit Kat?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I?
Yes.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
All right.
Only if you give me half. Of that one.
Oh shit, I rubbed my nose. Is it still good?
You're right.
Okay, go ahead. I know my finger, dude.
Can you show the camera your finger, dude?
No, like this, you guys caught me at a wrong time right now. Watch. So Craig, go to camera 2. Oh, hold up. Back to camera 1, Craig. So go to camera 2 and then stay there for like a second or two and then cut back to camera 1 and then cut immediately back to camera 2. Like, oh fuck, we got a mistake, okay? So cut to camera 2.
Okay.
You caught me doing that. Okay. Anyways, yeah, go ahead. Give me with those questions. Craig, producción, por favor, musiquita.
All right. If you're at a restaurant
Uh-huh.
and you're waiting for the waiter,
Yeah.
aren't you technically the waiter? If you punch yourself and it hurts, are you strong or weak?
What the hell is happening here?
If the universe is expanding, what is it expanding to? If you try to fail and you succeed, which have you done? Why does my dad not love me?
That's on you, girl. That's on you. You know what?
Let me get a little bit of fog, Craig. I'm going to go ahead and kickstart a story. A story that I feel like maybe a lot of us knew about, but I mean, it was definitely super, super popular at the time that it came out. Let me ask you guys a quick question. Have you guys heard of Debanhi Escobar?
Debanhi Escobar.
This was one of those kinds of mysterious cases that when it happened, it just kind of blew up. I mean, stuff like this, I'm sure happens all over the world.
Yeah.
Every day, and pretty often, but it doesn't happen so frequent where it picks up a lot of media traction. And this was one of those cases that picked up a lot of media traction because it was just one of those cases that you just were raising eyebrows in every which way.
Okay.
And so let me go ahead and start off the story. This story is about Debanhi Escobar. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of it. It was definitely big news, especially for las doñas que nos están viendo ahorita. Una preguntita, doña. ¿Por qué está gastando el tiempo? Póngale loncha al marido que no sabe que ya se va. Anyways. But yeah, anyways, sorry. Back to the story. So, this was in April 8, 2002, right? So, Debanhi and two of her friends decided to go out to a party.
Work.
One of their friends, their name was Sarai, and the other one was Yvonne.
Okay.
Remember?
So, Debanhi, Sarai, y Yvonne.
Yes,
Yvonne.
Yvonne.
Denari, Sarai,
What?
Yvonne.
What?
What? Wait a minute, girl.
Those
Okay,
are
no.
the names, right?
You know what? Let me just tell the story to el público. I think it would be better off like that. We're going to confuse everyone. No. So the story is about Debanhi.
Debanhi.
Debanhi went out with two friends to go to a party.
Sarai
And Yvonne.
and
Yvonne.
Yvonne.
Yeah.
Yvonne, yes.
Yvonne. Whatever. Okay. So it's really important to know que Debanhi and Sarai have known each other for a couple of months.
Okay.
Oh, so they're new friends.
They're relatively new friends, but they've known each other already.
Okay.
Now, so Yvonne and Debanhi, they just met that night.
Okay.
That's very important to keep in
Debanhi
mind.
and Yvonne.
Yeah,
Met that
Debanhi
night.
and
Got
Yvonne
it.
just met that night. During this night, they decided to go party hopping. They were in one party, pero como que, the vibes were,
They're like
Not
nightclub
there.
hopping.
yeah, but not really nightclub. This is this is in Monterrey in Mexico.
Oh, so,
So
like
this is
different
like,
people's
yeah, these
houses.
are like house parties,
Oh, okay,
sort
okay.
of, right? And so, they started party hopping because, they felt like maybe one of them was dying out. And the person that was reported that wanted to specifically party hop was our victim that we're talking about today, Debanhi.
She wanted a party.
She
hop.
was the one insisting on going out and
girls.
keep partying.
Yeah.
It was also reported that Debanhi was the one also excessively drinking a little bit more than the other girls.
Oh, no.
So at this time, when they were going to go to a different party,
Uh-huh.
they ended up calling an Uber. But I think I think they have a specific app. Maybe it wasn't Uber in this part of Mexico.
Something
It was
similar.
called DD, like designated driver.
Okay.
So it was called DD. They called a DD, and the person that came was Juan David. That was his name. This is where things take somewhat of a turn in the story when
Okay.
they call their DD. It was said by actually the friends confirmed this after an interview, and so did Juan David. We'll just call him David. That's how they refer to him
Yeah.
in these reports. So the two friends and David reported que the girls como que le encontraron confianza en David, and so they told him, hey, can we exchange phone numbers? And by the end of the night, when we're done, can
We
you
call,
come pick us up? And he said, yeah, that's fine. I'll do that. Like,
what a
I
nice
got
guy.
you.
Yeah.
Right? And this actually isn't out of the... I mean, think about it. An Uber driver coming to pick you back up after not... Like, it's not something that was added
Questionable.
into the app. No, see, this is where red flags can be raised because
Oh.
he's not picking them up through the app. He's picking them up
as him.
personally, as himself, as David, not through the Uber driver app, right? And so a lot of people, this is where they rose their red flags on David.
Pero yo siento que en México la gente es así, like
Es de confianza.
Es mucho de confianza, yeah.
I
like-
do.
I
When
think
I go
so,
to Guadalajara, there's a guy that we call. He's taxista, but like we call him and he'll come pick us up. We don't
Yeah.
have to like call the taxi. We'll just call
Yeah,
him,
yeah.
and he
and
like
pay him.
he's
Yeah.
like our
Yeah.
driver that we called.
Right.
So I know like that's unusual.
Yeah, the other thing I was gonna mention también is that even here in the States, you know what? I have as everyone knows, and for those of you that don't remember or don't know, I've been doing Uber Eats for quite some time, right?
Yeah.
And so with Uber Eats, I'm just picking up food, but I have a cousin who does the Uber driving shit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And he does the Uber driving one, and he's told me before that, hey, some people where I'm at, there's not a lot of people who want rides, but I get lucky enough, get the very handful of people, the small amount of people that do want rides, they eventually tell me, hey, can I just pay you for you to pick me up tonight? And he's like, fuck yeah, because this is all cash. Or it's like
untaxed.
Transferred over. It's untaxed,
Yes.
right? Yeah, it's under the table,
For
basically.
legal purposes, this is a metaphoric cousin we're talking
Yes,
about.
exactly. And so, even in the Uber world, in the Uber gang, all my Uber drivers out there, love and support Little Brownies podcast. Go ahead and listen to us. Even in the Uber world, I just feel like that's also not too uncommon either, because you're thinking like, fuck yeah, like, this is on the side. I don't have to report this. It's
Right,
no tax.
right. These are like $60 for me.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a
Exactly.
mutual exchange. Like, you give me a ride, I give you the money.
Yeah.
We don't have to go through the whole app and everything.
Yeah. And so, moving forward to this, the two girls, Yvonne and Sarai, they split up with Debanhi. Debanhi goes on the Uber drive alone with David. And the two girls, they went elsewhere. After that night, the girl, Debanhi, was never seen again. Not until about 15 days later. She was found inside of, like, imagínate un tinaco, after a 15-day search. The deed was probably done that same night.
Yeah.
And so her body was just decomposing for
In the
15
water.
days.
By who, though?
That's what we're going to get into right now. So, number one, red flags. Number one, just automatically,
The Uber driver.
David, the Uber driver.
Yeah.
The other two suspects, the
Her
friends,
bitch-ass friends.
Yvonne and Sarai.
Yeah.
Okay. So, right now, the parents at this moment, they put basically like a reward if anyone can find out or knew who it was. And they were offering, I don't know if it was 100,000, but I don't know if it was pesos or dólares.
dollars.
But it's Monterrey, I'm assuming it's pesos. 100,000 pesos they were offering for anyone who knew of the situation and can come forward with, where their daughter was at. And so when an investigation began, there was only 4 places that they checked. These 4 places, it was a truck company, it was in the woods, it was in the mountains, and there was a motel. Now, the motel name was called Nueva Castilla. This is I feel like this is kind of uncommon, but I mean, think about it. David is the number one suspect right now, and he actually was interviewed by like news anchors on national TV live, right? And I feel like when there's an investigation going on like that, that's kind of strange that someone goes and gets an interview so that way you can publicly state it. It could be a cultural difference, right? Where he's just like trying to clear his name. But like, I mean, think about it here in the States.
No, I get it, though.
You know what I mean?
But I see it more on his side because it's like he's being blamed for the disappearance and even like the murder of this girl.
Yeah.
Imagine you as like a humble man that does Uber for a living, getting hit with those accusations. Like, I'm sure que andaba like desesperado to be like, oh my God, like nobody believes me. I have to come out and tell my story.
And after that interview with him, the next day there was an interview with the 2 girls as well.
Where were they interviewed at? That's my question.
It was like in las noticias,
Oh, in
like
las noticias.
Televisa or something.
I think meant like Oi or something. I'm like, damn, dude, they flew to Mexico City.
The anchors, it was a guy and a woman, they were asking David, okay, so what happened that night?
Yeah, spill it.
And he said, look, I got pretty much an order to pick up someone, and I went to go, like I do my regular job, and I got there and it was these 3 girls. I can't even really tell you their names exactly because I don't know them. So he was like, so what happened was that one of them seemed a little bit more intoxicated than the other 2. So the other 2 kind of just put her in my car and they gave me the directions of where to go. And they said, like, take her. And that's what I did. But the thing is, the girl, in this case, it was Debanhi. He was like, Debanhi was just kind of fighting. She just was resisting. She kept telling me like, I don't want to go. Like, it just seemed like she wanted to, continue the party and continue the night.
Yeah.
And he was like, she was just.
But that's very like drunk person things. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
Yeah. And so he said that, when they were on their way to wherever they were going, well, actually, he was dropping her off home. And he said when they were on their way, pasan por los bosques, pasan por las montañas to take her home. And he said que, pasaron por las montañas, and she insisted like, aquí déjame. And he was like, no, like, it's too dangerous. I can't leave you here. Like, I'll mejor, like, if you want me to drop you off, like, I can drop you off, not at your home if you don't want to, but I'll drop you off a little bit more ahead. I just can't leave you here in las montañas.
Middle of nowhere.
Right. Yeah. And so, he ended up dropping her off a little bit more ahead. And actually, no, he didn't drop her off. He was driving, and then she just told him, hey, like, stop right here. And he stopped, but he said, I felt like she was gonna like throw up or something, which is why I stopped. Oh. And he was like, I didn't think that she was gonna run out of the car. So I stopped, and she ran out of my car. And at the moment, there was a very viral picture of Debanhi, which was a picture that he took from his car of her, like kind of like with her arms crossed, in the middle, almost close to like the middle of the road, near like the woods or such, right? And that was the last known picture of Debanhi seen before she was unalived. And so he was just saying, he's getting a lot of threats. He hasn't been working in like, over a month. The app, the DD app, like Uber driver, they basically suspended his stuff. No. And he was like, and I wasn't even doing it it wasn't even part of the app. And they still suspended me. I can't find work. I need to work. Aww. My house is being like, messed with. I'm having issues now with my family because my family's believing that I'm actually the one who did it.
Why did he take a picture of her?
He took a picture of her because he was actually messaging the other friends, Yvonne and Sarai.
Be like, because tu amiguita is acting weird.
Yes. And he said that he took a picture of her to send proof to the friends because she ran out and she's just standing outside over there. And he said that he could have only waited a certain amount, but he was like, I can't get off and like bring her in as much as I would have wanted to because I'm a guy and it's gonna look like I'm like secuestrándola.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be like wrong. Counterproductive.
Yeah, and he was like, and so I tried my best, and she ran away, and I couldn't do anything, and so I just had to leave. He left, and he called his wife. He was married, and he told her the whole situation, and
I
think he was still did a couple more rutinas. And then his wife kind of was like, maybe go check up on her or if anything. And he's like, I'm around the area where I dropped her off just to see what's up. Yeah. So later on, I don't know how long that, from when he left to when he came back, he ended up coming back and she just wasn't there anymore. Now, here's something to keep in mind. After that night, the parents reported her missing. Right.
Fair, yeah.
And then immediately they started a search. So there was a 10-day search in the area of where she was last seen. And it's actually pretty crazy because in the 10 days search, they did find over 6 women. And none of them were Debanhi.
Oh my God! Within that forest place?
Within the area of where she was lost, they found over 6 women, but none of them were Debanhi. And one of those places that they searched, so there were videos of her by the woods, by the mountains, and by the truck company, but none were found near the hotel.
Then why search the hotel?
Which is crazy because the hotel was where she was found. And so here's the thing. La entrevista con el Uber driver, right? It was answering basically the question on his end, what happened, right? And then the next day, la entrevista with the 2 friends, Sarai and Yvonne, they both were saying that Debanhi was, trying to keep the night going. So that was being confirmed. And they had said that they basically didn't want to stay like super responsible for Debanhi because she was already like ending her night, which is why they sent her off. In another way, I also understand the friends.
Have you ever had to deal with a drunk friend?
Right.
Que es pesado.
That's true,
And
yeah.
you're like, oh, man, just go home.
See,
Go home.
that's another thing también that's really tough because she's a girl and she was alone with a male driver, and that puts him as a suspect.
Immediately.
Which really sucks because, you know, if he really was trying to be the buena onda, it really sucks. That leads me to one of the questions que the news reporter le preguntaron a él. Why'd you go back and pick her up? And he said, I went back because me mandó mensaje Yvonne, like she had said she might have texted me. And I only went back because I was under the assumption it was going to be the three of them again. He said, if I would have known that it was just one person, regardless of who it was, if it was just one of them girls alone with me, I would have said no immediately. Yeah. And he was like, that's where I fucked up. Because I did take one of them. And then he said, you know, the dad, the girl, the Debanhi, was basically so against, and he really believes that it's the Uber driver. And the Uber driver was saying, you know, if only that man knew, because he said a lot of bad things about me, if only he knew, because that night I feel like I was the only one really trying to help her.
Oh, that is so sad.
And the dad, que basically quedó de malas with the Uber driver, but I don't think it quedó de malas with the two girls. There were 3 autopsies performed, right? The first one was basically that she had head trauma because she accidentally fell into the cistern, which is El Tinaco.
Yeah.
That was the first autopsy. The second one was performed, requested by the parents with a PI, because they were like, nah, like there's something sketchy happening here. And basically that second autopsy was found that there was sexual assault. And that there was multiple head wounds. And the head wounds was the one that basically ended it. And then they basically dumped her right there in the cistern. Then the state of or I'm sorry, maybe even Mexico, they had their own their own autopsy performed regarding this case. And what they concluded, and this is now a nationwide, like, you know, people doing it, right? They found no signs of sexual assault, but they did find head wounds. But they believe that those head wounds were not caused by accidentally falling into the cistern. They believe like she was attacked. And those were the 3 autopsies of Debanhi Escobar. And to this day, nobody knows
what happened to her.
What really happened to her. And this was such a crazy case. I don't know if you guys remember it.
I don't.
It was a crazy case. I had all the doñas running crazy, dude.
Yeah.
All of them.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, first of all, you bummed me out real bad.
I did bum you guys real bad.
You bummed me out real bad.
I'm so sorry about that,
I was about
guys.
to go perform at Madison Square Garden. I don't want to do it anymore.
We had a booking right after.
I don't want to do it no more.
I also have...
Ooh, give me that Kit Kat. I was made for loving you, baby. You know what? Fun fact, Gene Simmons also really liked Kit Kat. And the tongue thing also started because he did this. Yeah. Okay.
So the Springfield Three was a case about 3 women. It was 2 teenagers, 18-year-old Stacy McCall and 19-year-old Suzanne Streeter, and also Susie's mom, 47-year-old Cheryl Levitt. All 3 of them disappeared on June 7th of 1992. And so the night before the disappearance, the 2 teenagers, Susie and Stacy, were at different parties. They were celebrating their graduation from high school. So they were like with their friends, you know, spending as much time together and celebrating a big milestone of graduating high school, right? Before they go off to college. All the friends made plans the following day to go to a water park.
Nice.
So that they could just continue the celebration before, you know, they part their ways.
Yeah.
The day after, the girls' friends, Janelle Kirby and her boyfriend, hadn't heard from Stacy or from Susie, even though they had made plans together. So they decided to go back to the home where they all stayed. So this was at Susie's home.
Yeah.
When the friends, Janelle Kirby and her boyfriend, arrived, they noticed that all of their cars were parked in the driveway. So they figured, okay, they're still here. Let's knock on the door. When they knocked on the door, they received no response. The only unusual thing they noticed was that the porch light was broken. However, they kept knocking, they received no response, and they did notice that the door was open, so they let themselves in. When they let themselves in, they noticed that all their keys, money, bags, even their dog, everything was inside the home, as if, you know, they were already ready to go, but all three of them were not there. As they were just in the home, they received 2 prank calls, and they were very sexual calls. It was a male voice saying just very sexual things, and for them,
wasn't a prank.
They were just dismissing it because it's like, ew, like, you know, it was. They kind of like didn't make it a big deal.
You think they had those house phones, those landlines?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
You think they probably couldn't even trace the phone back?
I think they could have.
Really?
Yeah, but they were just like, oh, prank call, like whatever.
Well, they didn't think much of it.
Didn't mind. Yeah, but as they had noticed that the porch light was broken, Janelle Kirby's boyfriend decided to just do, you know, the right thing and clean up the mess, because there was just glass everybody. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So he ended up picking up the broken pieces, threw away the light. And so in the end, what was a good deed of him to do ended up turning into the erasure of potential physical evidence.
Do you think it was really a good deed?
I want to say yes.
I think so.
Yeah. Do you think it is?
Well, first of all, I'm Gene Simmons, right? I'm not a private fucking investigator.
Right.
So, you know what? Forget what I have.
Shake my tongue. Shake that tongue.
Why is it green?
Why is it green? Oh, damn. Shake that tongue, baby. Shake that tongue for candy.
So sexual all the time, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, and so later on, Janelle and her boyfriend just like ended up leaving because they kind of just thought like, oh, maybe they went on a walk. They went to the store. Yeah, they'll be back because all their things are here. So it doesn't really raise any flags as to like, oh, maybe they went somewhere or they were kidnapped. You know, you don't think those things because you just saw them the night before. You had made plans for that day, but you see all their things and you're like, okay, you know.
And their house probably looked pretty normal. Nothing like, why is this chair?
Yeah.
You know, like.
No, yeah, not like, oh, alguien entró and like took their things. Like there was no money, like nothing, right? So there was no trace of them. But later on, after not being able to contact Stacy, her mom, Janice McCall, arrived to the home to search for her daughter also. And just like with the friends, she found all the women's belongings inside the home. But she ended up deciding to call the police.
Oh, okay.
And so as she waited for the police to arrive, she went up to the phone. She checked the machine and she did hear a voicemail that was recorded on there. And it was a male that made just sexual comments, very obscene.
Okay.
Janice ended up accidentally deleting it.
No.
Which is another potential piece of evidence.
I mean, that's a
gone.
Big to evidence. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was fucking around with them. You see?
Also, there are some like really psychotic ass people who are getting away with it. For example, like the ¿cómo se llama? Ted Cruz.
Zodiac Killer.
The Zodiac Killer. It was said that he was just so good at getting away with everything.
Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper's another one.
They kept sending more clues to get closer. It was almost like this high of
yeah.
Like, you're so close.
You know, yeah, exactly.
You're so close, bitch.
You almost had it. Yeah, you know,
you gotta be quicker than that.
Exactly. It kind of gives me those vibes right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, of course, the police ended up arriving, right? And so, according to Springfield police, you know, the last time they heard of the mom, it was the night before, like at 11:15 p.m. She talked to a friend and she had said like, oh yeah, the next day we're gonna go to a water park.
Yeah.
And the friends last saw the two 2:15 a.m. That was the last they heard and saw them. So, of course, within days, the FBI was involved, and then the case reached nationwide attention. So, because it reached nationwide attention, everybody was like wanting to know what was going on. And in the community, they were receiving a lot of tips. So a lot of like the neighbors, people
Other
like
friends.
they were just like giving tips to the police. And one neighbor reported seeing a green van outside the house on the day of their disappearance. They reported a blonde woman matching Susie's appearance to be driving. The neighbor heard a man saying, "Don't do anything stupid." And that's all the neighbor said. Another person reported a strange van parked outside a grocery store nearby with a blonde woman in the driver's seat. This person wrote the license plate on a newspaper just in case, but then he ended up throwing it away before talking to the police.
Pero, you know, it's
Which
also-
is another piece of evidence.
And it's one of those things where, like, you know, at first you're like, oh, this is so weird, I'm gonna jot it down. But then you're like, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah. Like, you don't think about it.
Forget.
Yeah.
And then, but then in this case, it happened to be like, oh, this is like for real, for real.
Yeah, because there's two people, like,
fuck.
let's say across the town, and one of them is saying like, oh yeah, this strange van matching Susie is like in the driver, and I heard a man saying like, don't do anything stupid. And then there's another person on the other side saying like, oh yeah, I also saw a strange van with a blonde woman in the driver's seat. I wrote down the license plates, but I ended up throwing away the paper where I put it. Like, how frustrating is that? And so with this case, there were some suspects. Of course, like a lot of people have theories as to like, oh, maybe like Janelle Kirby and her boyfriend, kind of like what you said, Cheeto,
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, I mean, they were at the house.
Right.
They saw the porch light. They saw their belongings, but didn't find them there. Why didn't they call the police? Why didn't they do anything?
But they're also a bunch of high school kids. They're kind of dumb. Like, it's probably like, they'll be back. They're chilling. Whatever. We'll just go to the theme park without them.
Yeah.
Water park. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's still a theme park. The theme is water. Okay? Leave me alone.
Another suspect is actually one of Susie's ex-boyfriend, and his name is Dustin Rekla, and he was previously arrested for grave stealing. So he would like dig up graves and he would steal from the muertitos. Yeah. And so Susie
1850?
so
Stealing graves?
So Susie testified against him. And so they're saying like there's theories that like, oh, maybe it was him because he was like out on revenge with her, and he went to her house, and then like all three of them were there, like, okay, well now yeah,
I'm gonna take
exactly.
all of them. Yeah.
Which like to many people it's like, hey, that's a pretty like
As far as
good
ex-
theory,
Oh.
because it's like if it's Susie's ex-boyfriend and then they reported that Susie was the one driving the van, so it's like, oh, he was the one making her do everything.
It was definitely someone forcing her, because if they saw her driving, I'm looking.
I'm looking at you. Yeah.
We're not looking at the camera.
No, I'm looking at you.
We have a mirror right in front of us.
Nice.
We have a mirror right in front of us. So I'm looking.
This is how I get a view of you, so I don't go like this.
Yeah. So we'll continue doing
Yes.
that. Yeah, I think somebody was forcing her because she was driving. So it had to be someone they
That
knew.
would make sense if, like, the dude in the van tenía una amenazada in the back,
Maybe.
making the ex drive, and then that's why maybe someone heard the guy tell the girl, "Don't do
Yeah.
anything stupid,
Yeah.
or else I'll hurt your friend."
Yeah.
back."
Yeah.
But it's also a theory because they didn't
don't know.
find this van. And so the next suspect that was like very much like, hey, you know what? Maybe it was him. It's this guy named Robert Craig Fox. So Robert Craig Fox, he was convicted of killing a woman in Florida. But for some reason, his case got overturned. And so he ended up moving to Springfield, Missouri at the time of the disappearance. So when the disappearance happened. And so because of this, he was the number one suspect because he's like, hey, this man has killed before. You know, maybe his case didn't like really put him in jail, whatever, right?
Yeah.
He's still like the number one suspect because he's capable of doing such major crime.
But did Craig in your story, did he live nearby them? Like, why all of a sudden he became a suspect?
He did live in the same city.
Okay.
Yeah. And
That's pretty much it, or?
and also because he did say that he knew that they were dead.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Get that man.
Yeah, get that man a medal. No, no. Yeah, get this man in court.
Yeah. So he was saying like, oh, I know what happened to them. I know they were dead. Like, I know where they're buried, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
And so as that came out, his girlfriend, Robert Cox's girlfriend, ended up providing an alibi that kind of like doesn't put him at the time of disappearance. So it's like this case is going everywhere.
Maybe he knows another criminal that did it.
Yeah. But then
There's more.
His girlfriend later on said, hey, he coerced me to say this alibi. So her statement was a lie. So then it's like, okay,
And
like we go back to this guy.
For her for that?
No.
But see, that's no.
No,
okay,
because it's like
I
he
take
like
that back.
threatened
Yeah,
me.
because that's also tough.
Yeah.
On her end, like, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
A veces se me sale lo macho.
You idiot. My God.
Yeah, and so
it's all over the place.
It's all over the place. And then all of a sudden, after claiming that he knew so much about this case, that he knew that they were dead, like full on saying those statements, he ended up saying, you know what? I'm not going to say anymore. So he stopped being open and he stopped being cooperative with the police, despite his claims of knowing so much about it. So people are saying that there's a theory that this guy was just seeking the attention of the case. Like, he just wanted to take the blame for such a high profile case. Like, he just wanted that credit. So,
or wanted the attention.
Yeah, he just wanted the attention for him. And then some years after, he ended up just going to prison for a crime that he, like, for robbery. So, like, completely unrelated to the disappearances. And then he ended up saying that he's not going to disclose anything else, that he would disclose what really happened to the women once his mother dies.
What the hell?
And this is a case that happened in 92.
92. Wow. So, yeah, it's been that long.
This guy's an idiot. I don't believe him.
Yeah, I don't believe him either. I think he just wanted to get the attention.
You know that when you said that he confessed something when he was already in jail, you know what I thought of?
What?
I thought that you were going to say that he actually confessed to everything. De una vez right there, right?
Unsolved Mysteries, babes. That's the title for today.
No, actually, that reminds me of something that Joanna told me. So Joanna said that... a ver, producción, musiquita otra vez. Joanna said... Dije musiquita, Craig, no aire. Fuck, Craig.
We're suffocating here.
Y
Por favor.
Joanna said that she had this one professor in community college. Remember?
Yeah.
And that professor...
No, I hate grape. How dare you?
That professor trajo a priest.
No.
Oh.
I'll tell the story.
Yes, please.
So when I was in community college, I was taking a criminal justice class. He ended up bringing in a guest speaker. When he introduced himself, he was like, "Oh yeah, I was working when the whole O.J. Simpson trial was happening."
Oh shit!
And he's like, "Oh, you guys remember what happened?"
Fucking Craig over here got on his fucking phone. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, Craig, turn this on.
He turned his fucking thing on. He got on his fucking phone.
I then forgot about it.
Fuck, Craig.
Did you see me going like
Okay. Yeah. And so, dude, I thought I saw something aquí al lado, and I turned like that.
It was your hair. Era el confetito. Anyway, so the guy, he was saying how he was working when the whole O.J. Simpson trial was going on, and he was working in the prisons. And when O.J. was in prison, he requested for a priest. And so a priest came over, and they were like having like not a confessional, but they were just like talking, right? And I guess when you have your time, like with a family member, that if you go to visit them, anything that's said right there, like I don't think it can be held up in court. because I think it's just like a personal, private moment. Or I think that's only for like priests, like any religious figure. I'm not too sure about it, but that's just like what they told us, right? So this priest comes over and he's talking to OJ, and then OJ basically was like crying and was saying like, I did it, like I need to confess for my sins, like I know like that I'm gonna get convicted, blah blah blah, right? So he was saying like, yeah, we got his confession, but we were not able to use it against him in court because it was religion. It wasn't like the right setting for it. Yeah, so he's like, oh, so if you guys believe that he did it, it's because he did.
I've always held my feet on the ground. I never thought it was him. No, just kidding. No.
Yeah.
No.
But going back to the Springfield Three, so Cheryl Levitz and Suzanne Susie Streeter were declared legally dead by their families.
Yeah.
Because to this day they haven't been able to find them.
Or any
clues. And Janice McCall, la mamá de Stacy, still continues to look for her. And she even, I know, it's so sad. She even co-founded a nonprofit organization called the One Missing Link. And so they help families with missing people. Yeah, and it's been 32 years and over 5,000 tips. And this case still remains unsolved.
I kind of went on a whole different route. I did more like unsolved, a mystery.
Let's end it on a high note.
And we'll see. I think it's solved, but I think it comes a little bit with like indigenous bias, and I'll get into it in a moment.
Okay.
So have you guys ever heard of Lovelock Cave?
No.
Have you guys ever heard of Lovelock Cave?
No.
Have you ever heard of Lovelock Cave? No. So I want to transport us back. Producción música.
Refer to us. Please don't look at this man over here. Sorry, I interrupted you. My apologies. Continue.
So producción, can we do música de time travel? Like, whoa. I want to... not that back. Not that time.
Not all of the time, baby.
Let's go a little back. I want to take us back to Lovelock Cave in Nevada in 1911. There was a cave, Lovelock Cave, and in 1911 entraron 2 miners in this cave. Miners not as underage, but miners as people who work in mines.
Yeah.
Again, this is 1911. That was very common. People at the time used to enter caves to obtain something called bat guano. Bat guano almost looks like rat poop.
Okay.
And it's made out of bats. I don't know how it comes. I don't know how they get it. But
Like bat poop?
It looks like rat poop. It might be bat poop. I don't know. But it's a very common thing that people use in farms for fertilizer.
Oh,
So-
probably poop.
Probably poop, yes. And so they were going in there because bats live in caves, right? It was very common. You just grab them and go. So these particular miners were going in and they couldn't find anything, and they just went deeper and deeper and deeper into this cave. And as they go deeper into like the darkness of this cave, they made an incredible and unexpected discovery that had never been made
What?
ever before.
Wow.
They went in.
El curro.
They went in and they found human skeletons, and they were slightly larger than human skeletons.
What the fuck?
What do you mean by slightly?
And by that,
But that's what my doctor tells me.
they found skulls and skeletons that measured between 7 to 9 feet.
What the fuck?
7. Imagine a skull 7 to 9 feet, or
Just a skull.
just a skull, or a whole human skeleton that was 7 to 9 feet. That's pretty big, and it gives you a range. There were bones found of different ranges, but what was abnormally different is that these skulls and these skeletons were really big. They're like,
What?
the fuck?
But they were human.
But they were human. Yes, they didn't look like animals. They were human, and they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So, and also some of these skeletons, the skulls were found with hair still attached to them.
Oh,
Well, not attached to them, but still with hair with
Like-
them. And this hair
Slay.
was they were all redheads.
They were redheads?
They were gingers.
Hey!
Shout out to the ginger.
And it's Halloween, you guys. Shout out to all the soulless people out there.
That's right. All the gingers out there.
That's right. May you and your souls not rest in peace because you don't have one. So, yeah, and they were like, the fuck? Like, it was, I guess no one had gone that deep in the cave, but they were there and they found them. Imagine you find a fucking skeleton. 9 feet tall.
Yeah.
You find a 10-foot tall skull. Like, the fuck? Like, this is scary. And the only people that have been living in this particular area of Nevada for 200 generations have been the indigenous people of that area. And they're not that tall. And then, so eventually they called out like actual, what are the motherfuckers called? Archaeologists. They call that actual archaeologists, and they went in, and they started digging up on these caves. And when they went in, they found artifacts, and they found huge knives. They found huge clothing, skirts, things that would wrap around you that were huge. And they found a sandal that was around a 29 size US, which is someone that's gonna fit if you're like around 9 feet tall.
So my mom just walked in and she's like, no. She deserves it. She can laugh all she wants. My mom can laugh because she just saw Craig.
With the microphone.
We gave Craig an extra microphone. Yeah, no biggie.
Say hi, Craig.
She started laughing because she knows how worthless and trash Craig really is. And so, we were laughing when we saw Mike next to him too.
Yeah. So like these artifacts, they're like, oh my God, these are really tall creatures. And they're like, oh my God, like what's going on? Like, are these really, really tall redheaded people? Like, is this really what we think it is? So they started kind of digging back records. They're like, let's go back. Has there been historically ever any records of really tall people ever found? Let's dig through that. There were records of giant people found in the Wild West era, which is from 1865 to 1895. This was 1911.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So from 1865 to 1895, the Wild West was a short era.
Yeah.
Shout out, but a very short era. They found skeletons of giants within that era. También en las montañas de Chihuahua, they found 12-foot skeletons. So then the question is, did we ever have a race of giant people living in the world?
Yes.
Maybe not anymore. Maybe they do.
Well, I think you're living proof. You're
I'm
enormous.
gigantic
De los lados.
That's so mean.
Si alguien te ve de atrás, tú dices, wow, no.
Wow, what a
archaeologist right here.
Right now, what a wide woman. So there's a little bit of an evidence, and so one of the evidence that people are taking they're looking into the Bible.
Okay.
Because here's whatever you think of the Bible, that's your problem. But whether you believe or don't believe, the writings in the Bible determine the culture of the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Right? So that's why they're going with it. So they connect biblical belief. And there's a section in the Bible that mentions there were giants in the earth of those days. There's also a section in Deuteronomy. How do you say this? Deuteronomy.
Jesse, that says September.
My bad. There's a section in the Bible called Deuteronomy. I'll put the word right here. 128. And it says, where are we going? Are we going up? Our brothers have made our hearts melt by saying the people are greater and taller than we are. They live in cities that are fortified, and you look up into the heavens because they were so tall. So that's one section, and they're like, I know the Bible's very metaphorical, but like, could they be talking about tall people? So another clue about this cave can be found by observing the history of the indigenous Paiute people, Pyute people, the Paiute people. And they lived in these Nevada deserts for centuries, like I'd mentioned. So they talked to them, be like, hey, what's good? What's up? Got your homie in the club.
Oh, damn.
So they ended up talking to one of their leaders, which is Sarah
McLaughlin.
Winamaka, and she was married to a white guy, so Hopkins, of course. What a way to kill her name.
Oh, no.
Sarah Winamaka Hopkins, and she was descendant of Chief Winamaka in Nevada. So back in the early 1800s, they didn't speak to her, I'm sorry. Well, they didn't speak to her. They ended up finding, the records of Sarah Winnemucca Hopkins. And she, in the early 1800s, 1804, 1805, 1810, whatever. In the early 1800s, she wrote a book. She married a white guy. And so this guy gave her like the ability to read and gave her a lot of education. Okay. So she wrote a book. And in this book, she wrote about how her people had a battle with another group of people living there. They were enemies, and they were called the Saiduka people. And she specifically mentioned that these were a group of giants.
Whoa.
They were a group of giant people. And she mentioned this was a battle and a war. We did not like each other. This is not some myth, some urban legend. This actually happened. She mentioned that the Sudaika people, so the giant people, were red-haired and they live in those caves. Now, this is in the early 1800s before these caves were discovered. But she mentioned something really incredible that no one had figured out yet about this.
Oh, okay.
She mentioned that not only were they enemies and they were tall and redheads, they were cannibals.
What?
They were cannibals. They ate people. Yes.
You know,
Wait, did they eat people or giants?
No.
People.
The giants were cannibals and they ate other people. And so, do you want to guess who these giants were eating?
The
native
tribe de la muchacha.
Right, the Paiute indigenous people. And that's where they started fighting because they're like, we're done. We don't want these people. Like, it's not right. So they fought for a really long time. There was a war that started between the giants, so the Saiduka people and the Paiute people. And they battled each other for 3 years. They were just going at it for 3 years. And eventually the Paiute people. Now, I don't know the war techniques. Do not come from me. I'm not a military general. I don't know what the fuck they did. But point is that the Paiute people were winning. They were starting to slowly get rid of the of these giants.
Yeah.
So the very last of the giants would hide themselves in that Lovelock Cave. So they were at one time, they were in this one battle, and the giant people started running back to their caves. The Paiute people immediately started covering these caves para que no salieran, and they started throwing fire in there.
Oh,
okay. And they burned the last of them, the last of the Mexicans. They burned the last of these giant people in these caves. Actually, going back to when people were starting investigating in the caves in 1911, in Lovelock Caves, during the very entrance of the caves, they found signs of fire.
Oh,
once they started reading this book, they found signs of like fires at the very entrance of the cave. Could it be true? Could it be coincidence?
I think it is.
We really just don't know. We might not never know.
Today, as usual, we have another shout out, and today's shout out is gonna go with someone who's been a big fan and consistently comments and DMs us and replies to the stories, and he's putting in the work.
That's
and
right.
We're putting in the work back for you.
We're producing the paycheck right now.
Producción, a ver, pon la foto aquí. We're gonna give a huge shout out to Jose. Shout out to Jose for showing some love. Everyone watching, go show some love back to Jose, and go flood his DMs. Tell him that he owes us for this shout out.
That's right.
So a huge shout out to Jose.
Alabio.
Alabao. Alabim. Bom. Bam. Jose.